That says I'm live. I don't know if I believe it. Of course, I have a hard time believing computers, even AI. All right, so I want to go live here, check out this lav mic. It appears to be working because I see the little microphone thing going on. Has a very high volume for it. Let me get comfortable here. So I want to talk a little bit about just going live right now. Join me if you wish, my subscribers and stuff. I put out a podcast recently saying farewell to many of my podcast listeners and those on Podbean, both the Country Radio Network um, Podbean account and also Prepper Guy Podbean account. And I've been asking everyone, hop on over to prepperguy.com. And I'm going to be doing a lot of courses. I just did a long video to myself on different courses that I want to do for the website. It's not totally up and running. The website's up and running. It always has been for almost 8 years. In fact, I was thinking that I remember starting this all 8 years ago on my birthday ish. Um, and so here it is, almost my birthday again, because my birthday is in July. So maybe it's a good omen. I don't know. So I want to talk in some of the videos, courses, you know, the trades for young kids graduating and why they should go into the trades and maybe avoid college. Um, prepping 101 again, because even though I've been prepping and a lot of you've been prepping most of your life, is it something that needs to be retaught to a new generation? Yeah, it sure does. I mean, life is fucked up enough and enough things are happening to where, you know, um, everyone needs a refresher course, and a lot of the younger audience doesn't really know about prepping. They still think it's like that crazy, oh, you're one of them, you're a crazy ass prepper. It seems to be becoming a little bit more less conspiratorial crazy shit, maybe because there's so many other things to worry about in life that, you know, prepping isn't something to worry about. We got the economics problem, so there's plenty of conspiracy theories in that. I hear there's a new thing with lockdowns coming again, so who knows? So yeah, being prepared for these types of situations or scenarios is a good thing. And even though I've been prepping since 1978, 79, somewhere in there, um, doesn't mean everyone else has. I've figured it out, and many of you have. And now in life, I've learned how to have a shit ton of food and stuff like that set aside. I've picked my food source, um, so I know that it'll be more meat based, so it's easier to acquire than growing it, and therefore I know how to hunt and stuff. So I'm not as worried as others will be, but the economic shitstorm that could be coming can, kick anyone's ass that's prepared or thinks they're prepared, because we can't always just bug out. If the world falls apart enough to where everything's a mess, but then it's not such a mess that you can just bug out and leave, then what do you do? It's like you need money to stay and pay your bills and stuff like that and keep the lights on. But then again, everything is telling you to get out of Dodge, but you can't because you have commitments and stuff. So that's the scary part. It's like it's bad, but it's not this bad. It's somewhere in here. Wish it was down here, but it's up here. And if you jump and go into bug out mode and leave or become a mountain man, then lose your house and everything, and might have kids and stuff. So this is all part of the tweaking that you need to do to understand how to be prepared and all that. So I don't know if many of you that have subscribed to this channel that might come on today or not, or might watch this later on, um, know where my business is. Obviously not hiding that from anyone, Sierra Vista. Um, I think, if you're not really online pissing people off, then your presence doesn't need to be so damn secure. I live in an area where there's just a humongous military intelligence group, and everything's like a psyop, and keep it secret and don't tell anyone anything. And it's like, this is America. Everyone knows everything. And so, you can go on my website and, go who is and find out, that I own the website and this and that. And, you know, I, I've pissed off people enough in life without making videos to where I know that I should, you know, keep low key, but, you know, it's impossible. So I don't worry about it. This is my business. We support the sheriffs all the time in their ride-a-thons or whatever they're called. And we donate quite a bit year after year for that. All the other paraphernalia. It's funny as all these pictures of the grandkids. That's when that was like, 18 years ago, which is kind of funny. Like, they're just so fucking cute at that age. So anyway, that's, where I'm at right now and at work, and it seems to be slow. It's Friday, and then there's the weekend, and then there's 4th of July on Tuesdays. So I'm assuming it's going to be pretty quiet in here. Nobody's going to want to come in and, talk about any of that shit, because it's the 4th of July. They got, picnics to plan and stuff like that. So anyway, we could talk about the 4th of July if you want a little bit, since nobody's jumping on, because no one knows I'm going live unless you just stumble upon this shit. It's 4th of July is great. It's American Independence Day, flag waving and all that. It harkens back to a time of Independence Day, Independence Hall, which I thought was kind of humorous, because when Biden gave his tyrannical speech in front of Independence Hall, with the red lights and the soldiers and all that, it was very, Orwellian looking. He did it on the steps of Independence Hall, which is where Benjamin Franklin was coming out of there after they ratified the Constitution, and a lady came up to him and asked him, "Well, what have you given us?" And he goes, "I've given you a republic," or "We have given you a republic. Pray you keep it." and I always think of that, because here's Biden standing there in the same spot going, "We're a democracy and we got to fight for democracy and stuff." And if you really read the history on democracies, they're a failed form of government. And that's why most countries and governments were set up as a republic. Rome was a republic. And then they fall apart once they start thinking, "Oh, we're a democracy," which we are not. So 4th of July is bittersweet, because we were once something really great, and we are not anymore. We're not. I'm sorry. We're fucking not, anything special. We're not a democracy. We are a republic. And if we could get back to being a republic, then we might become great again. But I don't see that happening, because too many of our leaders are too fucking stupid to realize the difference between a republic and a democracy. And FDR was the president that really drove the death nail into our republic by wanting to be elected by the people. And so then along came the 17th Amendment, and we started voting for senators, which had never happened before. And he wanted to be elected by popular vote of the people, which is not part of the constitutional framework. We elected representatives because we were a representative government. The representatives then went and appointed senators, to go do the business of the state in Washington, D.C. So they were kind of like glorified spokesmen or mailmen that would take the will of the people from the House in that area, your representatives, to Washington, and then create the laws that were kept in accordance with the states. And then the representatives would appoint electors, and then they would go and vote in the electoral college for the people that the state had. There was a whole process of who was and all that. And then you could have 10, 15 different people running for president throughout the country. And the one that got the majority, not 51%, but the one that got the most votes became the president. And the one that got the second most votes was the vice president. That's how George Washington was elected. So FDR didn't like that. So the electors, see, we still play that game, that little like, oh, look, we're still a representative republic. See, we have electors and electoral college. But the electors will throw the vote to the one the people have voted for. And you think, well, that sounds good. What's wrong with that? Well, the people don't elect the president. The states are supposed to elect the president because he represents the states abroad, and so it got all messed up, and it's such a simple solution to do away with the 17th Amendment and start becoming a republic again. But most legal scholars will go, well, that's not the way it's done. It's like, you're right, because the 17th Amendment, that's not the way it's done, but that's the way it was done. So if we would repeal that, just like we did with prohibition, then we would go back to the way it was done, and then we would have a representative republic again. So they always try to avoid that factoid and just say we're a democracy, which is painfully, it's like fingernails on a chalkboard to me, which some of you younger kids won't understand that because now they have whiteboards and monitors, but it's just a horrible screeching sound. It's like a bad movie. And so we're not a democracy, and we weren't meant to be. And if you study the history of democracies, they fell after 75 years. And I think it's been close to 75 years since FDR fucked everything all up. So, hey, maybe the prophecies of democracies collapsing 50 to 75 years is true, because we are on the verge of collapse. So when I celebrate 4th of July, I think of my state and the republic that was, and I almost shed a tear during the 4th of July. That it's kind of like looking at, dear old grandpa or grandma that's now 247, 248 years old. And all we can do is remember when it was great. And that would be fine if they had, died years ago and you remember them for who they were. But the republic died, and yet it continues on. So it's kind of like Weekend at Bernie's, we just keep dragging the corpse of the republic we once had and waving it around every once in a while, like, Weekend at Barney's, like, hey, and it's sad to see it and to think about it and to know it, because with knowledge comes great depression and anxiety sometimes, because the more you know about the way it should be, the more it hurts to see it not that way. And it wasn't a living, breathing constitution, but you could add to it, and they added to it with the amendment process, and they added the 17th Amendment. So we fucked ourselves and shot ourselves in the foot. But then again, the reality is we can repeal it also. So it's not a living, breathing constitution. It's a contract. It's, which is contract law. So you can amend to your you can amend your contract with your mortgage if you sit down with the lawyers and figure it out, it can be amended. Things can be changed, and then they can be changed back. But nobody wants to do that when you talk to politicians or want to be, I'm running for this, that, and the other thing, politicians. They'll say, well, there's the Constitutional Convention and the Convention of the States, and we're trying real hard to fix this. And it's like, oh, really? How are you going to do that? And they go, well, we're thinking term limits is really great. It's like, oh, so something that the founding fathers didn't put in there because they weren't needed, because we were a republic. So all you and I ever voted for was a representative every 2 years, which they had term limits on them based on the fact that, without gerrymandering, there were, representatives only represented maybe 100,000 people closely. You went to school with them people, you knew them pretty well. And then, when they were buck ups, you just elected somebody else next time. It didn't cost millions of dollars to run for president or even Senate. You could go out and canvass your district and pretty much get voted. And gerrymandering has screwed that all up. And the reason gerrymandering is allowed and why it screwed everything up was because of the 17th Amendment. So they're talking about term limits, and it's like, what, okay, so, this person over here is dying. They're on their deathbed. And what you want to do is go back and start talking about a healthy diet. Well, if you're going to really talk about a healthy diet that could save this person from dying, it has to take effect now. And it's not going to be something that's not a healthy diet. Like term limits are not healthy for a country because we never had it. See, it's pretty easy to say, well, why would you do that when the founding fathers never did that? Well, they allowed for Convention of the States. Like, yeah, because they didn't think we were mental patients, but apparently we are. So every year that 4th of July comes and goes, I'm just that much more sad because it's like, it's just one more year closer to death. Our economy has crashed. Everything we think about and worry about today's world is because, the loss of the republic. If we could go back to the true Constitution, the way it was, without some of the dopey things that we fixed immediately right after it was ratified, we wouldn't have all these problems. We'd have sound money. We would have, we would not have a standing army pissing off everybody in the world but us. And therefore we wouldn't have wars and rumors of wars. But we do, because we can't follow the rules. So it's 4th of July. We're gonna say nobody's come in 4th of July weekend, and nobody's joined on here. It's just fine. I get it. But and that's because I'm not consistent. See, I need to be consistent, but I don't always have time to do it. If this microphone thing works and doing it, going live like that, I can do it at home in my office when I have no distractions. Maybe, on a Thursday before the weekend at a certain time, or on a Monday at a certain time. But the rest of the time, my weekends are full of just chaos and plans and building and construction and stuff like that. And then Wednesdays and Fridays, I'm here, which is hit or miss. I could do it on Fridays, but somebody might come in and just fuck everything up. I could do it Friday mornings, maybe, get here an hour early. But it's hard, because there's things going on at home before I leave and all that, because it's during the week. So shit's happening. So I don't know. This will still be out there, and my subscribers can leave a comment and let me know what you think. As far as a good time, like I've told you my schedule, I could do Mondays, Tuesdays, or Thursdays when I'm at home. I could do it. Weekends are just fucked. So anyway, leave a comment, in the comment section of what would work, what you think would work. I remember Greg Manoreno started doing live and everyone hated it. And they were like, what are you doing? And now he's got quite a few followers and stuff. It just takes time to build up that following, because now they know that they can, jump on at that time of the day, every day. Now he does videos and stock trading, so he's got a lot of time. But I'm gonna let that ring a little bit because I have caller ID. I can call them back. Well, I know there's no messages, or it would have stopped doing that. So anyway, I'm about wrapping it up here anyway. It's going on 21 minutes. So you leave a comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification. I think that's how it works when I go live. Then you'd be notified also. And let me know what you think and what you would like to talk about. They don't have to be long. I mean, I can get 10, 15 minutes away a lot of times, but if I'm here on a work day, then see that fucking phone starts ringing. So I could have answered it. Since no one's on here, they wouldn't have heard any trade secrets. So let me know what you think. And like I say, everything is now going to be here on @PrepperGuy, or is it @DIY Prepper Guy? I think it's @DIY Prepper Guy here on YouTube, or just Prepper Guy on YouTube, and then prepperguy.com. Everything will reside there, and that's where the courses are going to start ending up and stuff. And I'm going to start changing things up a bit, because podcasting and all this stuff is time consuming. Doing live is easier because once I hit end, it's over, it posts it. I don't need to add a intro music or any of that happy shit. We just chit chat, and once we get some cohesion going of when we can sit together as a group of people and talk about prepping and trade schools or whatever you want to talk about. But I personally, if you've been following me for a while, I love talking about nutrition, politics, economy, how to be a prepper, whatever you like talking about. I'm 86 years old, so as they say in the Allstate commercial, I know a lot because I've seen a lot. That doesn't make me an expert either. So I guess I will wrap it up, see who's calling me, and check the audio on this. Hopefully it's not way too loud or not way too soft. And we'll go from there. So leave me a comment. Give me a thumbs up when you're watching this, just to let me know. I'm going to give myself a thumbs up there. Oh, I can't. See, it knows who I am. Anyway, I will talk to you guys all later, and hope you enjoyed this. Bye-bye.